Well, this is a cooking show, so let's talk about hockey. In the 1952 NHL playoffs, a team had to win 2 best-of-7 series to capture the Stanley Cup. The number of wins needed was 8. So the two brothers in Detroit, in support of their beloved Red Wings, hurled an octopus onto the rink, the 8 legs symbolizing the 8 wins needed. Well, the Red Wings went on to win the championship, and a sports tradition was born. With all that brings us today's recipe: octopus ragu with skillet-baked chorizo cornbread. This one will score with the fans. I'm Garret Shack, and that's what's cooking on the coast. Welcome back to Cookin' on the Coast. Today we're using a Pacific Coast octopus to create a wonderful octopus ragu accompanied by a tasty skillet-baked chorizo cornbread. So let's get to it. Check out this octopus, Pacific Coast octopus. Now, these can be a little tricky to find, but I'll tell you what, when you do, boy, are they tasty. Look at that guy. 8 long, beautiful legs, all those suction cups. Really, really incredible. And guess what? This entire thing is edible. We've already had it cleaned, so when we got it from our fishmonger, we asked them to remove the kind of gut parts from the hood here, the mandible, and they've also removed the beak, which is an important part to note. Right in here, that's where it eats, okay? There used to be this really sharp beak down here. We've gotten rid of all of that, and now it's basically ready to go into the oven. We are gonna do this really simply in the sense that all we need to do is, with a nice sharp knife, pick up our octopus, cut it straight through. So there we have 3 out of the 8 legs. We're gonna get them into our heavy pot here. We need something really heavy that's gonna hold in all that heat. Right over to the pot. There we go. We want them to try them not to make too big a mess. Let's get one more of those 8 legs in there. Okay. Now these octopus are amazing creatures. They only mate once, if you can believe that. And when they do, they spend so much time guarding their unhatched eggs that they actually forget to eat, and they starve themselves. Now, lid on, and this would go straight into the oven. I'm gonna wash my hands quickly, and we'll get that in. So again, you notice we haven't added anything at all to this octopus. It's just going straight into the oven like this, and when it comes out, you'll be amazed. It's gonna go into a slow oven, about 250 degrees, and we'll leave it in there for about, size of this octopus, probably 3 solid hours. Okay, let's grab our cutting board and we'll get started. A few key ingredients to the ragu. We have onion, peppers, both red and green, some celery, and of course, some tomatoes. That's gonna make up the basis of this sauce. We'll start by dicing up some onion. The nice thing about a ragu, it cooks over a long, slow period of time, so you don't have to be too fussy with how you chop it, because most of these vegetables will all break down. So I'm just gonna give these a little, what they call a julienne, or a slice. There we are. We'll do up the next one. We got quite a bit of octopus there, so we may as well do enough onion to make it taste good. There we are. Okay, now we've preheated our pan here as well. We need a little oil. I'm using vegetable oil here because I want to make sure that we saute this stuff nicely. And vegetable oil has a higher smoking point than olive oil, so it won't burn. Get our onions in straight away. We're using a really nice Paderno pan here. These things are great. Wonderful heavy bottoms on them, and they're nice and flat and level, so they work perfectly on these induction burners that we have here. There we are. I'm going to let those onions sweat down just a little bit. Now, any good dish, onions, goes hand in hand with garlic, so we want to chop up some garlic for that as well. The idea here is not to add the garlic too early. We want those onions to sweat out a bit before we add the garlic so that we don't burn it. And same thing, nice rough chop. We're not too worried about the look of this, this part of the dish. There we go. Into our pot. There, one trying to get away. Perfect. Now we're gonna let this sweat. Sweating basically just means we're softening those colors or those flavors in the onion. We'll let that sweat as we chop up some peppers here. Now I'm using 2 different colors of peppers here. I personally love the green pepper. It has just a hint of bitterness to it, as opposed to the sweet red peppers or yellow that you see in the stores these days. Again, we want to cut a bit of that rib away. And I'm going to leave these in nice julienne slices, just like that. There we go. One more. Now the octopus is a really incredible creature. On this part of the coast, they have amazing defense mechanisms, let's call them, where they can actually change their color to suit their inhabitant. They can squirt ink out at their enemies. They move really, really quickly in the water by jet propulsion, and they also do this. They're really incredible at squeezing their bodies into these really tight spaces. It's pretty amazing. I want to know who the person was that first looked in the water and saw this 8-legged creature with suction cups and said, hey, that looks delicious, let's catch one and eat it. I'd like to know who that guy was. He was one brave man, if you ask me. Or woman, I suppose. Hey, we should be fair here. There we go. All right. And then the last thing we're going to add to this, as far as vegetables go, or second last thing, I guess, is our celery. Got a couple of nice celery stalks here. Cut off the ends. Again, in most vegetables, you'll find that certain portions of it tend to be a little bitter. The leaves on the top end are bitter, and the bottom end tends to be a little bitter as well. Just chop it in half slightly, and then into our ragu. And at that stage, all of our chopping is done. There we go. And these are the basis of our flavor for this ragu. Sweat all of that down, let all those flavors come together. I want to add a little salt to this right now at this stage, early in the cooking. Not too much, because we're going to taste it a little bit later. But we want to add a little salt, just let that all come together. Okay. And then we have some whole plum tomatoes here, not crushed tomatoes. But what we want to do is when we put them in, we're going to crush them up with our hands a little bit. Right in. Check out this little trick here. I got some white wine, put a splash in the bowl or in the can if you happen to be using a can. Swish it around, and that all goes into our ragu as well. Okay, like I mentioned, these whole plum tomatoes, just give them a little squish with your hands. Whoa, hey, it's getting away from us there. See, that's why we have sous chefs though. There we go. All right. We gotta let our ragu cook out. Again, this is a slow cooking process. So this ragu is gonna cook for probably 45 minutes, an hour, maybe longer if you have time. Turn it on to a slow heat and just let it cook away. We'll be back to finish our octopus ragu and chorizo cornbread later in the show. But first, right after the break, we're getting out of the studio. You'll wanna stick around for that. Now we've gotten out of the kitchen and we're out here featuring some of Victoria's finest food carts. We're down here today with Wild Greens and Grains. Got Andrea right here from the food truck. Hi Andrea, how are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Great.
Good.
Well, what can you tell me about your truck and what you do?
Well, we started this food truck. We wanted to make food for people that was healthy, that kind of fell under what we eat every day. So everything here is all gluten-free.
Nice.
We do healthy gourmet salads, and we do whole fruit smoothies. And we started this in the summer, so that's kind of our summer menu. We're we're slowly moving into the warmer food. So we have a couple soups on right now, and we'll be starting rice bowls probably tomorrow.
Oh,
so,
very nice. Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
And lots of quinoa. And
yeah, so you can add on things to your salad. So quinoa or some protein. So we have different sausages. Today we have a bison sausage.
Yum.
And a tuna salmon steak and a salmon steak and a tuna tataki.
Very nice. And so what are you going to feature for us today?
So I'm going to do the wilderness salad, and we're going to add quinoa to that and a bison sausage.
Cool. Do you mind if I hop on board and you can show me how it all happens?
No, that's great.
Great.
Come on
Thanks
in.
very much.
Okay.
All right, Andrea, so this is where it all happens.
Yes, this is our salad bar here.
Very nice.
So the wilderness, I'm gonna pull out my bowl as I wanna toss our lettuce a little bit.
Okay, this is where the wild greens come from.
Absolutely, this is the wild green tray. So I'm gonna get this is a mix of organic greens and organic baby spinach. So
I love that. Lots of fresh spinach. Looks really crisp.
Yeah,
I love
it's really nice. And
you gotta really know how to work in confined spaces when you're working on these trucks,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're lucky we do have a little bit of a bigger truck, but it definitely is a space we find. So I just put some red onion on there.
Perfect.
And then this is our pear here.
Lovely and fresh, lots of flavors going on here.
Yeah, absolutely. This is, I don't know, I wasn't expecting it to be the most popular salad, but that's just kind of what it ended up being, so.
It's taken off, has it?
Absolutely, people come back for it every day.
Very nice. Now, you mentioned that this is all healthful food, but it's not just for vegetarians, is it?
No, it's not. We do fish and meat, and you know,
nice.
we can do vegan if people want vegan as well. We do have some cheeses and stuff on some of our salads, but
cool. And this dressing that you're putting on there.
this is the basil balsamic dressing.
Oh, delicious.
It's really good. Yeah, the
That's
basil comes
sweet, a little bit of that vinegar in there.
Absolutely.
I can really smell it already, actually.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
It's
Very
great.
nice.
The basil's actually from our garden, which we're really lucky. It's great.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Sticking to the homegrown, close to the cart technique, eh?
Absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So this one we were going to do with quinoa, so I'm going to go and get some of my quinoa just over here.
The superfood, hey?
Yeah, absolutely.
Quinoa is so great, isn't it? And I mean, especially for those folks that do stay away from meat,
absolutely,
you really should add this to your diet.
It's a great protein. It's really high in protein, and it just gives that salad a little bit more oomph to it, you know?
And using a rice cooker. So do you do the quinoa in the rice cooker from raw?
Yeah,
oh, that's
absolutely.
Cool. That's a great tip for home. If you ever want to do quinoa at home, grab one of those rice cookers.
Rice cookers are great. They do almost anything. I think you can warm up soups in them as well and just keep things warm in it. So now I'm plating.
Getting all those pears,
absolutely.
The sweet greens. I can smell the basil in that vinaigrette.
It's really lovely, isn't it?
This is already a healthy portion, and now you're gonna add more?
Absolutely. So we got some artichokes in here, some marinated artichokes.
Very nice. Quick chop, hey?
Absolutely. Myself, I like to have kind of like a bite of every goodness in each bite of salad that I take.
The perfect bite with each and every bite,
absolutely,
nice.
For sure. And then there's some soft goat cheese here to go on top of that.
Add a little saltiness. I love goat cheese.
Yeah, which is another extra protein for those vegetarians who don't want the meat, which is great.
Perfect. Oh, look at the colors in there too. The purple of the leaf lettuce, the green of that spinach.
And then we
gorgeous.
Have a little bit of extra protein there.
Oh, this is a complete meal.
Absolutely. And then my partner Thomas works on these. This is our.
that must be painstaking.
It's actually, he's gotten really good at it. He's really fast with it.
At home, sitting in front of the TV, just carving out carrot leaves?
You know, that'd be great. But he does do it at work, so it's good.
Very nice.
So
That's
we're going to pop that into the quinoa there. And then I think we have a bison sausage on the barbecue. So
perfect, because I'm a bit of a carnivore myself. So to complete this, you throw a bison sausage on there?
Absolutely.
Very nice.
Yeah. I think this one's done. We're going to pop that on the salad here. And voila.
Voila.
So that is the wilderness with quinoa and a bison sausage.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, should we dig in?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Grab a fork?
Yeah, for sure.
I see one poking out right here.
Oh, great. There you go.
All righty, let's see. Got some artichoke here, a little bit of the lettuce. Oh, gotta get a piece of that bison. There we go. It's a big bite. Wow. That's incredible.
You like it?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
That dressing is just amazing.
Awesome.
And not too much. It's perfect.
Great.
Andrea, thank you so much for having me on your food truck today.
Yeah, appreciate it.
We'll be right back after I finish chewing this bite. Back in the studio with Cookin' on the Coast. And we're back to the kitchen to finish up our flavorful octopus ragu, accompanied by a tasty skillet-baked cornbread. The ragu is just about ready. Now, the cornbread. Of course, the major ingredient of any cornbread is cornmeal. First thing we want to do is incorporate our dry ingredients, baking powder, baking soda, and some salt. Mix those in there. Give it a little whisk, stir it around a little bit. We want to make sure that we disperse all of that baking powder and baking soda throughout the whole batch of cornmeal here. Okay, we'll set that aside just for a second. And in here, buttermilk. Buttermilk is the basis of any really great cornbread. Okay, crack the eggs. One, the garbage. Egg number 2. There we are. We have some melted butter. It's important that you just melt this butter slightly. There we are. And again, just whisk it all up together. There we go. Okay, incorporate it really well. Make sure those yolks get all cracked up. And now we'll just add the two together. Really simple. No fancy baking stuff here. We just boom, 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 throw it all together and mix. Now this isn't just your average cornbread. We're making a skillet baked cornbread. We've had a skillet in the oven baking away at 550 degrees Fahrenheit. And we're gonna grab that and put it out here right beside us. Now this thing is ripping hot. Don't just put it down on your counter, set it down on a cloth or one of those hot towels. We're gonna add our chorizo. There's that sizzle we're looking for. Some fresh chilies. Add as much or as little as you'd like. I like my chili cornbread pretty hot, so I'll add a bit more. And then some garlic. All these things sizzle away in our pan here. Now, this is gonna act as a base for our cornbread, give it lots of flavor. The oil's starting to come out of there. Now let's dump this right over top. Make sure it's evenly dispersed. There we go. Now, because we're baking in a cast iron pan in the oven, what's gonna happen is we're gonna get this really great crust on the outside of our cornbread. It's gonna go a little bit dark, but that's okay. That's what we're looking for here. Right in the center of the oven, perfect. Okay, let that bake away 35, 40 minutes or so. Now let's turn our attention back to the octopus. We've pulled this out of the oven. This one baked for about 3 hours, and you can see how much that's changed. See how small the octopus has actually gotten now? Remember what we started with was this big ginormous thing that we pulled out of the ocean? Well, now it's cooked right down to this. We've let it cool so we can touch it, and we're just gonna pull it over to our cutting board here. Something with a little ledge. See our ledges on it? That'll catch some of the juices. Like I said, we've let it cool so we're able to touch it. Look at that. Doesn't that look fantastic? And all that moisture, remember we started with a dry pan. All that moisture is in there. And now we want to chop this up and add it to our ragu. So nice and tender. You can almost tell just by giving it a squeeze how nice and tender it's gotten. Lovely. Now down here at the end we have the little tentacles, which we can just add straight in. Those will be nice and tender already. And those add some wow factor to the dish, that's for sure. Okay, and then we'll just slice these up. You want to slice them fairly thin, kind of like squid as well. It's how you prepare it and how you slice it that makes all the difference here. So a nice sharp knife, cut right through. Smells great, perfectly cooked. I can tell how tender it is. You can see how my knife is slicing through there. This is going to be delicious. Into our ragu that's been cooking away as well. Just gonna add more flavor. Doesn't that look great? Wow, the smells in this pan are so incredible. Just love octopus. It's one of those great dishes from our west coast here. The last thing we need to do here to finish up this ragu is just add some fresh chopped herbs. I got some oregano here, some basil. Now it's important when you're using fresh herbs that you add them at the very end of your cooking process. Chop this up. Just rough chop again, and in we go. Perfect. Okay. Give it a good stir around, and then we'll get this onto our plate before we pull the chorizo cornbread out of the oven. Okay, find a nice piece of octopus there, and just set that right in the middle. There we are. See how that's all cooked down and all come together? It smells incredible. The colors look amazing. Oh, now let's grab our cornbread. We did one up ahead of time so that we'd be ready to go for television here. Look at that. You can see the golden crust on the outside, and watch when we flip this thing over. Oh, wow, look at that. Like I said, we got a bit of a crust on the outside, right? But on the inside, we'll cut a nice little wedge here. On the inside, we have our gorgeous, moist cornbread. Tuck that right along the side. And I'll finish this, just a little olive oil. Olive oil makes everything taste great. Look at that. Smells great, looks amazing. And there we have it. Pacific Coast octopus with skillet-baked chorizo cornbread. Now let's see what we can do for a beverage pairing with our feast. With me today is Andy from Averill Creek Winery. Andy, what have you selected today?
Thank you very much for inviting me along. This is Averill Creek's Foch Cab. And Foch Cab is probably the most robust wine we can make in the Cowichan Valley. It's made from hybrid grapes. One's called Maréchal Foch, two others are Cabernet Foch and Cabernet Libra.
Interesting.
Now, we don't have enough heat units in the valley to grow Cab Sauvignon or Malbec or Syrah or any of the big Mediterranean reds, which would be so good with this dish, that we grow the hybrids and we make something that's very, very similar.
Well, there's probably some folks out there that are wondering, like, well, this is seafood. What are we doing with red wine? Like, hold on here.
Well, this is seafood with very robust flavors.
Absolutely.
You've got chili, you've got chorizo, you've got tomatoes, you've got the octopus itself, which is quite strongly flavored. You need something red.
Absolutely.
So
kind of northern Italy influence here, right? So
absolutely perfect, yes. And last time I poured this for a master of wine blind, he actually thought it was a northern Italian wine.
Oh, really?
So it was great.
Should we give it a whirl?
Absolutely, we should. Now, you notice we've only got screw caps in Averill Creek because I'm not a great fan of cork.
Interesting. Yeah, that's been a pretty heated debate over the past few years, hasn't it?
It absolutely has.
Look at the color on that. It looks spectacular.
Nice, deeply colored.
Very deep, yeah.
Purple wine.
Lovely.
Big nose, lots of black currants, blackberries, herbaceousness, a little bit of butterscotch from the barrels. We aged it in barrel for a while.
Very nice.
Rich palate.
And you're right, yeah, really nice and bold. I love that.
But
that's going to hold up well to this octopus, I think.
Absolutely.
Don't be shy, dig in.
Thank you. I absolutely
You're more
will.
interested in the wine. Hey, I don't blame you. It's delicious. Make sure we get a piece of octopus here.
To me, food and wine go together. One complements the other. That's wonderful.
That octopus is really tenderized. That's like 3 hours of slow cooking.
Absolutely wonderful flavors and great texture. And with this wine, spot on.
Perfect pairing. A Vancouver Island red wine and an octopus ragu.
Hey, I can work with you anytime.
It's a pleasure. Thanks very much, Andy. Check out our website where you'll find more information on today's show and maybe a few surprises. I'm Garret Shack. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to savor the flavor.